We are, yes, on the brink of a pit of fire. That's where the world is now located. Shafa hufrati minan nar, on the brink of a pit of fire, for those who can see. But Dajjal, the false messiah, is using all kinds of diversionary tactics to divert our attention from the massive, monstrous change which is about to overtake the world. We have spent a long time, or months now, we've been spending on cryptocurrencies, on digital and electronic money, and this is by far the most dangerous of all changes about to overtake the world. More dangerous than nuclear war, oh yes. Nuclear war will simply kill a lot of people, that's all. Lots and lots of mankind will vanish in nuclear war. But cryptocurrency, that's slavery. That is slavery. And we are on the brink of the pit of fire now. I have said to you, my estimate is that we probably don't have more than a year or 2 years left with paper money. And then there'll be no more anonymous transactions. With paper money, you could still have an anonymous transaction, yes? Not recorded, there's no trail. But not anymore with cryptocurrencies and with electronic and digital money. It's slavery that's coming. And I have appealed to you, kindly, 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 if you have any integrity in you, if you have love in your heart for the truth which has come from Allah, all through history, if you have love in your heart for Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam in this, the month of Rabiul Awal, then kindly go to your Imam, go to your Maulana, go to your Sheikh, go to your Mufti. I don't know what else to do. Go to them and ask them. Ask them kindly, ask them softly, ask them earnestly. Tell us, please, while still there is time for you to answer. Tell us, is this money which is coming, cryptocurrencies, electronic money, digital money, virtual money, is it halal or is it haram? Is it makruh? Should we just avoid it? We do not want an answer from you just by word of mouth. We want something in writing. We want something in the form of a legal opinion, or it's called a fatwa. We want it. Go and ask them for a fatwa. Go to your Darul Ulum and ask them, kindly give us a fatwa on this money which is coming. Bitcoins that Malaysia has now legalized. Iran, I understand, is preparing to legalize in the sense of recognizing it as legal tender. Ask them, is this halal money or is it halal to be used as money or is it haram to be used as money? Go and ask them for an opinion. And while you are there with them, you can also ask them, what about the money which we've been using for the last 100 years? Since the Europeans invaded our territories and by the point of a naked blood-stained sword, and in unjust wars they defeated us and they colonized us. And then they took gold and silver coins out of the market and they replaced it with this paper money. And then they gave us the Bretton Woods Accord and the International Monetary Fund and His Majesty the US dollar as the international currency, replacing the sterling pound. And then came the petrodollar. And now we're being told there's a petro yuan coming. Is this paper money halal or haram that we've been using all this time? Can we use the paper money to pay our zakat? Ask them. Give us a fatwa. Can we use the paper money for buying and selling? Is it halal or is it haram? We want an answer. Can we use the paper money to pay the meher when we get married? Can we use the paper money to perform the hajj? Can we use the paper money to build a masjid in which we perform our salat? I'm asking you, 100 years ago, our scholars of Islam were doing that favorite pastime called, in French, faire dodo. We still use the term in Trinidad. Faire dodo means to fall asleep, to sleep. 100 years ago, there were very few scholars of Islam who stood up to declare that the paper money monetary system that was coming out of Western Europe was bogus and haram. Very few. But the established scholars, the establishment, they betrayed us. And they gave us this paper money. That's what they did 100 years ago. And now, 100 years later, we are on the brink of a pit of fire. And before I go in my grave, I want it to be recorded in my book that I begged you, go and ask your scholars. They cannot avoid giving an answer. Force it from them. They must answer you. Tell us, is it halal or is it haram? We are on the verge. If you want to offer any comments, you can call on the subject. If you want to ask any questions, you can also call and ask any questions on the subject. We don't have much more time. I just have a few programs and then I'll have to travel again for 4 months. I said we are on the brink of a pit of fire. That's right. And the crown prince or the schoolboy who is now poised to take over as king of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, who seems to have been groomed for this role, trained for this role by the same people who trained that prince who went and killed King Faisal. This crown prince is provoking Sunni Shia civil war in the house of Islam. They are lusting for Sunni Shia civil war. For some time now, they've been trying all they can. They're waging war on Yemen because they're saying they're waging war on the Shia in Yemen. They struggle in Syria, they struggle in Iraq, they struggle with ISIS to try to provoke Sunni Shia civil war. So far, nothing has worked. But now there are signs that perhaps they're reaching a stage of desperation. And something might happen, something big might happen to provoke Sunni Shia civil war in the house of Islam. My students and myself, we are, on the other hand, we are conforming with the command of Allah in the Quran. Listen to His command. In this month of Rabiul Awal, when there are those with boxing gloves in their hands, waging boxing matches against their brother Muslims. In this month of Rabiul Awal, take off your boxing gloves and listen to the Quran. Allah says in the Quran, it's a command. It's a command. And the command is directed to all Muslims. All Muslims. He says, وَاعْتَسِبْ بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَاعْتَسِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold on, all of you. Hold on, all of you together. Hold on to the rope of Allah, which is the Quran. And He who was sent to teach the Quran. Hold on, all of you, to the rope of Allah and do not be disunited. Whether you are on this side of the fence with your boxing gloves in Rabiul Awal, or you're on the other side of the fence with your boxing gloves in Rabiul Awal, I'm talking to both of you. Take it off. Take off those boxing gloves and listen to the command of Allah. وَاعْتَسِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Shame on you. Shame on you for your boxing gloves. Fighting with your brother Muslims over peanuts. Hold on to the rope of Allah and do not be disunited. And if you violate this command, you got a surprise waiting for you in the grave, because you have violated Allah's command. So now we are struggling because we don't say of the Shia that they are kuffar. Not at all. We do not agree with the Shia. We believe that they are misguided in their view that Allah is the one who appoints all the khulafa who succeed Nabi Muhammad ﷺ as leaders, and they call them imams. And we differ with them when they dismiss Abu Bakr Siddiq as a usurper. And we differ with them when they dismiss Umar Farooq ﷺ as a usurper. That's a grave charge. That's a very grave charge. And we differ with them when they say of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he's a usurper, hijacking the leadership from the one who is divinely appointed. We differ with them on that subject, with their theory of the imamate. And we have said that if you have a theory of imamate, that Allah has done this, Allah has chosen that the succession must be from the Ahlul Bayt, it must be in the Quran and not in the mutashabihat. Because if you interpret an ayah mutashabiha of the Quran, you must say Allah knows best. I can be right or I can be wrong. You can't build a belief system on that. I can be right or I can be wrong. Come on, wake up. It has to be in the ayat muhkamat. If it's not there in the ayat muhkamat, you cannot declare that this is a part of the belief system of Islam. So we differ with the Shia on that issue, but we don't say they are kuffar. You say they are kuffar, then you'll have to answer in the grave if you are wrong. And so we try to build solidarity and reconciliation between Shia and Sunni. We've been doing that for the longest while. And because we've been doing that, even though I differ with the Shia, and I don't hide it, whenever I have visited Iran, and I've visited Iran many times already, I've traveled all over Iran, I've met the Ayatollahs, I've met the highest Ayatollahs in Iran. And I've had discussions with them, and they've invariably received me with respect and with affection. That's how I've been treated in Iran. So we are on the brink of a pit of fire. Sunni Shia civil war in the house of Islam. Excuse me a minute, I'm falling asleep, but I have to wake up. But now today, there's yet another danger. And I want to share that with you in this month of Rabiul Awal. It's the month when the Sufis celebrate the birth anniversary of the Prophet ﷺ. They call it Mawlid al-Nabi. And here in Trinidad they say Milad al-Nabi. Mawlid al-Nabi and Milad al-Nabi. Of course, the celebration of the birth anniversary of the Prophet ﷺ is not and has never been a part of the Sunnah. No. Neither the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ nor of his companions. No. It is something new, and therefore it is a belief system. It is a religious institution or religious practice which is not based on the Quran and Sunnah. Not based on the Sunnah. You can use verses of the Quran to try to argue the case, but clearly it is not a part of the Sunnah. And so this is the month when the gloves come out. And this side of the fence is saying that those who do not celebrate the Milad al-Nabi, they are not good Muslims, they are bad Muslims, they are this, they are that, and the other. And they launch a war against these people. Milad al-Nabi is the time for boxing gloves, fighting them. We are the good Muslims, you are the bad Muslims. And then the other side also pick up their boxing gloves and say, these people are committing shirk, and these people are in bid'ah, and this and that and the other. And so it's like a merry-go-round every Milad al-Nabi, with boxing gloves this side versus that side. And which is why it is strange and mysterious to me that they waited until the month of Rabiul Awal. And then they waited until the first Jummah in Rabiul Awal. And then they chose a Sufi masjid in Egypt. And then they launched this devastating attack on the masjid. And about 300 people, this is the information we have reached us, that about 300 people were killed. Is it true or is it false? I don't have anything else to go by other than the news reports. Number one, that it occurred on the first Jummah of Rabiul Awal. Number two, it was an attack on a Sufi masjid. Number three, that more than 300 people were killed. This is the news which has reached me, and that doubtless has reached you as well. We don't know how true it is. If it is true, then the news is going to spread far and wide. And then we have to ask ourselves, well, who did it? Why did they do it? And why did they choose this particular moment to do it? The first question, who did it? The answer that is supposed to come, that we are expected to give, is that the Salafis did it. That's the answer we are expected to give. That the ISIS people, the Wahhabis and the Salafis, lump them all together. These people who declare that the Sufis are committing shirk and committing this and committing that, and they oppose the celebration of Miladun Nabi and so on. These people are not only with boxing gloves now, they pick up guns. That's the answer we are supposed to give. I am not giving that answer because I don't know who did it. I don't know if there was some intelligence agency at work involved in this planning it. Number two, why did they choose a Sufi masjid? Answer, it will appear to me that the reason why they chose a Sufi masjid and they chose the first Jummah in Rabiul Awal is to provoke Sufi Salafi civil war in the house of Islam. I am a political analyst, and I am therefore analyzing with the tools with which I've been trained to analyze. And why did they choose this particular time? Number one, the month of Rabiul Awal. Number two, are you listening to me in Egypt? Number two, the first Jummah in Rabiul Awal, not the second, is because they want to maximize the impact of this attack, this terrorist attack, maximize its impact. So as the days proceed now until the 12th of Rabiul Awal, the momentum will be building to a crescendo, that a wave of resentment will sweep the entire world of Sufis. And the Sufis are popular all over the world. You have Sufi movements all over the world. There's very great sympathy and support for Sufism around the world. Compared to the Salafi, I think the Sufis are far more numerous in number. But it is clear that as we now approach the 12th of Rabiul Awal, what is going to happen around the world is that there's going to be a build-up, increasing momentum, building to a crescendo of a wave of hostility against the Salafi, against the Wahhabi, against the ISIS and so on, lumping them all together, not remembering. I have many Salafis who are my students. Oh yes, many of them are my students. And so what we have now is that we are on the brink of a pit of fire, planned by those who want to divert our attention from something big that is coming. Yes, something big that is coming. Divert our attention with Sunni Shia civil war, with Sufi Salafi civil war. How do we respond? Answer: the Miladun Nabi and the other practices of the Sufis which are not based on the Sunnah should not be used to divide the people. Do not divide yourself from your Muslim brother on the basis of a religious practice which is not firmly built on the Sunnah. Do I need to repeat that to you? For those of you on this side who have on your boxing gloves, this Miladun Nabi, I have to also give a lecture for Miladun Nabi. It will be in the Endeavour Masjid. Endeavour Masjid close to Montrose on next Jummah, the 1st of December, after Salatul Maghrib. And I intend to speak on the essential Sunnah, the essential Sunnah. So do not divide yourself from your Muslim brothers on the basis of religious practices which are not based on the Sunnah. And Miladun Nabi is not based on the Sunnah. Having the prayers for 40 days is not based on the Sunnah. No. If you divide yourself from your Muslim brothers on the basis of religious practices which are not based on the Sunnah, you are violating the command of Allah in the Quran, in which He has ordered you, وَأَعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold on, all of you, hold fast to the rope of Allah, which is the Quran, and the Sunnah of He who was sent to teach the Quran. Hold fast, all of you, to the rope of Allah, وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, and do not be disunited. Do I have to remind you of Allah's command in the Quran? Prohibiting you from dividing yourself from your brother Muslims. Do not do that. So this is how we respond to the Sufi Salafi civil war which is now coming. Do not divide yourself from your Muslim brothers on the basis of religious practices which are not based on the Sunnah. My teacher, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari Rahimahullah, was a Sufi Sheikh. Have I ever hidden that from you? No, not at all. I am proud to have him as my teacher. I am honored to have him as my teacher. And I cherish the very dust on which he walked. Yes, that's the status of Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari Rahimahullah, who was a Sufi Sheikh of the Qadiriya order. And if anyone is annoyed over my praise for my teacher, then I don't care for your annoyance, not at all. I don't care 2 peanuts for your annoyance, not at all. You're not going to stop me from honoring my teacher, not at all. Whatever be the price I have to pay, I'm prepared to pay for it. He was my teacher, and a greater teacher than any of your teachers that you have. And if Allah today has blessed me with whatever little knowledge I have, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah for that teacher who trained me. And he was a Sufi Sheikh. And I took the bay'ah with him at his hands to join the Sufi order, the Qadiriya order, in 1960, right here in Trinidad, when I was 18 years of age, at the Jama Masjid in San Fernando. But today I no longer identify myself as Sufi. No. And every single thing that I teach and every single thing that I write is based on the Quran and the Sunnah. I try never, never, never to step out of the Sunnah and on the Quran when I teach and when I write. Go and check my record and you'll see. So then why do I no longer identify myself as Sufi? Even though what I teach and what I write is the essence of Sufism, meaning al-ihsan. What is the reason that I no longer identify myself as the Sufi? But if you invite me to a Sufi zikr, Naqshbandi zikr, I'll come and I'll join you in the zikr. Yes, of course. If you have a Sufi gathering and you invite me, I'll come and I'll join you in your Sufi gathering. And if anyone is annoyed with me for that, I don't care 2 peanuts. No, I don't care 2 peanuts for your annoyance. There are many other scholars and teachers. Go find someone else. Leave me alone. I don't care for you. I don't need you if you're more learned than I am. Then go your way. If I'm wrong and you can correct me, yes, I must be humble enough to accept my mistakes. Otherwise, I'd be a fool. But simply being annoyed with me because a Sufi in a gathering invites me to join them in a zikr, and I go and I sit with them in the zikr, and you get annoyed with me for that? No, man, not at all. I don't care for your annoyance. So this is how we respond. And that is that we recognize that these religious practices are not based on the Sunnah. And as a consequence, I do not want to have to answer for them. I do not want to have to pick up any boxing gloves and wage any intellectual war to defend a religious practice which is not based on the Sunnah. And hence I no longer identify myself publicly as Sufi. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. But other than that, what I teach and what I write is the essence of Sufism, the very essence. I don't call it Sufism. I call it al-ihsan, which is a term based in the Sunnah. Yes, al-ihsan. So this is the way I live. But if you have your Miladun Nabi program and you invite me, I will come. Yes, I will participate in it. Yes, but I will not myself organize a Miladun Nabi function. Not at all. Why? Because I don't want to have to defend an institution which is not based on the Sunnah. How many times must I repeat that for you to understand? Is it so difficult to understand? What's wrong that you cannot understand it? It is not based on the Sunnah, but that does not mean that it is haram. It is not based on the Sunnah, but that does not mean that there is evil in it. No, it is when something is not based on the Sunnah and you want to insist that it is a part of religion. I don't want a part of that, because that is bid'ah and haram. When something is not based on the Sunnah, and you want to pick up boxing gloves to defend it and divide yourself from the Muslims, I don't want to be a part of that at all, at all, at all, at all, at all. I don't want to have to answer for that in the grave. No. Those who want to pick up their boxing gloves and fight battles and battles over things which are not based on the Sunnah, let them go their way. But I'm not going to do that. So, Miladun Nabi and the Sufi practices, which are not based on the Sunnah, I don't want to have to defend them, so I don't identify myself as a Sufi. But if you invite me to your zikr, I'll come and join you. And on the other hand, now you have those who their raison d'etre now is to pick up boxing gloves and sometimes pick up guns to wage war on these people who are celebrating Miladun Nabi. Oh, you are fools. I want to tell you straight to your face that you are fools, that you are dividing the ummah, and you're doing it in a destructive way over things which are not based on the Sunnah. If it is not based on the Sunnah, but they do not insist that it is a part of the deen, there's no need for you to fight a war with them. No. It is when they argue with you that this is a part of the religion, then you can say to them, this is bid'ah. So on the other side as well, if you are waging war against the Sufis, because of religious practices which are not based on the Sunnah, you are also guilty of dividing the Muslim. Wala tafarraku. Do not be disunited. Look at my way. I have good relations with the Sufis. They're annoyed that I don't describe myself. Warrenville, just hold on. And I have good relations with many Salafis. Many Salafis are my students. Yes, go ahead, Warrenville. Hello? Okay, it's gone. So now then, this is the this is the problem we now face in Egypt. Warrenville, yes, hello? Hello? Now we have a problem with the phone there. So we have...
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
My dear brother Imran Azhar.
Yes.
This is a call from Warrenville.
Yes.
And I'd like to say to the Muslim community that right now what is going on in the world is far more important, and what we have to deal with all these wars and what is going to take place and the nuclear war and things like that, than for people to put on boxing gloves and to deal with whether we are Sufism or Salafism or Wahhabism. And I mean, these are things that whether we believe in Salafism or Sufism is a question of our choice. And whether what type of zikr we believe in is our choice. And we shouldn't be judged based on that. We should leave that based on, Allah should judge us based on that.
Okay. Yes.
So, the world have far more important things. And for example, the coming of Dajjal, and what are these European people trying to do to us, or these Americans trying to do to us, and the wars that they are trying to promote. So, it's why these little trivial things are getting to our Iman and getting to us.
Yes, Warrenville, I'm very happy that you also hold the same view. Sucked into this civil war, Sufi, Salafi civil war, Shia, Sunni civil war, but rather we should be trying to build bridges between ourselves and build solidarity and unity with the ranks of the Muslims in conformity with the command of Allah in the Quran. وَاعْتَسِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold on to the book of Allah, hold on to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And for things which...
we are falling into their hands, we are falling into their trap.
That's right, they're setting a trap for us in Egypt. And as the days approach now for the 12th of Rabiul Awal, what happened in Egypt is going to spread all over the world, and there'll be increasing hatred and hostility from both sides to each other. And we're on the brink of a pit of fire that is Sunni Shia civil war, and now Sufi Salafi civil war in the House of Islam. And these are essentially craftily designed diversions to divert our attention for something tremendously destructive,
Exactly.
which is around the corner.
Why